sports, man. So can you feel the viewers in, like the way of life, the culture up there too, man?
One thing I'm gonna say about St. Paul is scary. And it's only scary because it gives you just enough to stay there. You won't be as big as you want to be. It got just enough street shit going on, just enough club shit going on, just enough money shit going on, just enough so you just be content. Soon as you touch that bitch, you'll be so content, you'll never get bigger than that shit.
Oh, wow.
So that's what makes it so scary. Like, whatever you want, you can choose it, but when you choose it, it gives you just enough to be stuck. And next thing you know, you not shit at 40 years old. You a club promoter, fucking all the little hoes at 40, or you a goofy ass gang member, just came home from the joint, ain't got shit to your name, but the name in the streets, and then that don't hold no weight nowhere. So it's like, it's just enough. It's devious, I ain't gonna lie, but like my upbringing was cool, I guess. I grew up like every other regular little, hood shit. My dad was a pimp. My mama fucked with all the big time street niggas. It was just...
Stadium Village Station. Connect here to these routes, 6 and 33.
Man, y'all, I gotta do another digital journal. This is 41. So I'm doing a half day because I gotta do some errands and stuff like that, right? So I'm gonna have to do a podcast on this tonight. I'm gonna have to, and these are some things that I don't think I'm gonna be honest, they probably won't really take too much heed to it, but that being Black and IT book, I don't know if they would try it, man, but shit, man, this is exactly what I was talking about. So I'm getting off work, hop on the Green Line train, right? Hop on the Green Line train. Now the Green Line train, basically, for those that don't know about Minnesota, the Blue Line used to be the one off the hook. Rides from Lake Street all the way to Mall of America, from downtown Minneapolis to all the way to Mall of America. Stops at the airport, stops at Fort Snelling, which is the infamous place in which our good foundational Black American freedman, Dred Scott, lost in court because the race soldiers, come on, dude, don't hold me up. The race soldiers wouldn't allow him his freedom in 1857. So it does stop at Fort Snelling. And I think I'm gonna take Fort Snelling one day and kind of walk around and stuff. I'm gonna get up to Fort Snelling within the next 2 weeks. I promise y'all that. I'm gonna get up to Fort Snelling and do a little, do a little walk around. So I should have went to that tour on Juneteenth. That would have been dope. So now I'm gonna make a part 2 to this, y'all. But so now I hop on the Green Line train. What has happened with the Green Line, the Blue Line has now become the Green Line. You used to have drunks, alcoholics, fentanyl heads, addicts, whatever. You got working class people too, and you got sprinkles of the so-called underbelly of society as well. The Blue Line used to be off the chain. That's the same one I took that video for y'all in March. The Green Line is now what the Blue Line used to be. And the Blue Line has different pieces too. So now I get on the train. The train was cool till you start getting to downtown. And when you get to downtown St. Paul and transfer, because I was going to take a limited stop bus, man, I ain't never seen, because we didn't do this when we were younger, I ain't never seen this many grown ass men huddled up doing nothing. And these weren't like older drunk dudes. These were younger guys in their 20s just standing around. They probably smoking, doing whatever. And folks ain't even really hustling like that. Man, these dudes, it was pitiful. I ain't seen this many dudes just sitting around each other. You didn't really see a lot of females. You didn't really see that. You saw the occasion old couple like in their 50s, late 50s, or close to 60 or something. You could tell that they were strung out at one point and try to get themselves back together, you know, and they ride the train. So you've seen a little bit of that. But bro, I ain't seen this many. 3 of them got on the bus or on the train at the last stop by the Union Depot. Oh, folks are staring at me or something, you know, because folks got a real bad problem with that in the Twin Cities. That's a Minnesota thing. Folks don't know how to mind their own business. I think a lot of the murders and a lot of the assaults be because folks can't mind their own business. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in my town you could not do in other cities. You would be flatlined for it. Folks do a lot of stuff that they can't do in other towns. You got to mind your business when you go to them big cities, but you know, and it's always the dudes. It ain't usually the ladies. The ladies ain't really paying you much mind. If they do, they gotta have a compliment or something to say to you. That ain't really going. It's always dudes. It's always the dudes that want to look you up and down and want to talk to you and do all this kind of stuff. I ain't really got nothing to say. So now I get on a limited stop bus. Get on a limited stop bus, right? Folks gotta play their music. They can't put no headphones on. They gotta play their music. So what I'm saying is just, it's embarrassing. It's the most embarrassing thing in my city, in my Twin Cities, that this behavior has happened. Because folks used to kind of do it. We didn't have cell phones to play loud music to a certain degree. And this is the epitome of what Dr. Cress Welsing and Neely Fuller was talking about. Attention deficit. Negroes want so much attention, and that they want everybody to know what they're doing and what they're saying. That's how much attention they want. And it's a damn shame. But I'm going to show y'all some extra footage too. We're going to do another part 2 to that, because we got to talk about this. This part 2, y'all. I got a lot of errands to run, so it actually feels good. It's crazy because it's 2:22. It took me, I left work at noon. I got home close to about around 1:49. So, man, I was watching something on, it's called Something with the Porch. And basically, it's a lot of rappers, it's artists, it's people that go down to Atlanta and they get on a porch. I would get on that porch, off the porch. I would do that for my books. But I'm not a rapper, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, but if somebody got wind of it and said, hey, fly down and do off the porch for like my books, yeah. But I guess they say off the porch, so it must be, it's got to be something involved in the street or whatever. I don't know. I thought it was just music or whatever, but it's called Off the Porch. So it's been a couple people from Minneapolis and St. Paul that's been on there. I think there's a brother from the east side that was on there. I can't remember. He did a song with this dude from our city named John Ray. He's pretty good. And he got this song called Mop I like. A mop, talking about the mop. And there's a guy from St. Paul, I think he's a rapper, and he said something that made Excel Energy, okay. He said something that I thought about. He said St. Paul's scary. The Twin Cities are scary because you could get content. And that kind of struck a chord. I said, man, that's real. Because I kind of thought about a lot of these grown guys, and it was guys that was my age or even older that I was seeing, and I said, man, you get to a certain point. You mess around here in Minnesota. This is a sanctuary city. This is a city where it kind of rewards people to not do nothing. You could kind of sit on your hands and live. You see what I'm saying? Whether you shacking up or whether you just kind of, it ain't like other states where they don't have tons of programs. Now that's drying up. my thing is you can get to a certain plateau here and just be like, oh, I'm good. Whereas you see people outside. That's why a lot of brothers that leave and they start working with other people, because it's going to force you to do a little bit more than what you were doing. You see what I'm saying? So when you see people like our good brother Big Earn, he had to leave. Now he's still in Minnesota and probably going back and forth or whatever. But when I be looking at his gram and seeing he's dealing with them dudes from Watts and LA, and they got the millionaire mansion or whatever, he had to leave in order to network with people that was above the Minnesota threshold. So when I got off that bus, I'm sitting there waiting. When I got off that train and I'm sitting there waiting, and it just, when I seen what I saw, it just made me like, okay, I need to do a little more. Cause I'm all right, but man, it just made me think about that Instagram. It just really made me think about that Instagram. I thought it was crazy. It's an interesting dynamic, and I think I'm gonna edit that into this video here so y'all could see it. But he was talking about how Minneapolis, St. Paul, it will make you complacent. You'll be complacent as hell. Now, everybody else, if you look at the median range income, 80 to 100 grand or more, a lot of these folks got money. I'm talking about the dominant society, the so-called dominant society. They got a bunch of paper. You know what I'm saying? You got a few that might be struggling or whatever, but I mean, this is like, this, they heaven. Minnesota's they heaven. You know what I'm saying? So, I just thought that was really interesting. I didn't really see a lot of females all huddled up. Now, I seen a few. You might see some, but you're not really seeing a bunch of women that's just hanging around, and then they just kind of off smoking and shooting dice. Unless they like bums, you'll see small cliques of 2 or 3, but you don't see 10, 15 dudes all just kind of hanging around. And I'm like, okay, that's a LLC. When I see that, that's a LLC. When I see a Rico in Minneapolis, I see a LLC. Highs, lows, and all that. Okay, I saw these are 10, 15, 20, 30 to 100 people that could have got together for something constructive. Now, in their mind, they probably like, well, we hustling. I'm hustling, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. And when you hustling in the street, you know the violence comes with it. But I'm seeing all this brain power that could have been used for something constructive. That's what I see. I see lost potential. And you can't really measure potential, but that's what I see. When I see them Ricos, I'm like, okay, this is a bunch of dudes that got together to do what? I'm sitting on the bus. I'm on a 54. It's a limited stop joint. It takes you through the east side. Dude gets on the bus. This dude, he's telling this other brother, hey man, I ain't seen you in a minute. I've been staying out the way, take care of the family. You see what I'm saying? You could tell that he wasn't withered, but he was weathered. You could tell just by, and I just kind of glanced, you could kind of tell that he probably been through it and it settled down. You know? So, at what point, as black men, do we have to go through the storms to settle down and get out the way? Because those that 16 to 33, I'll go lower than that. That 16 to 22, 24 is crucial into you formulating, getting yourself together. A lot of us started later. We didn't take maybe our career seriously, and you know, some people will say, well, you ain't in jail. You ain't in jail. You didn't do no time, so you were all right. But you wasted 10 years, and you got some niggas that go to prison, come out and are doing better than me. So what does that say? That have more businesses and more money and more quote unquote success. So you could say, well, you're not doing nothing wrong because you ain't doing no time, or you're not involved in any criminality, or whatever the case may be. But it's still it's a waste if you didn't do anything with it. Well, he's wasting his time withering away in jail. Yeah, of course, you can't really do too much. But you got some folks that came out and hit the ground running. I know people like that personally. So this 10 years that I could have been BSing around while somebody else is saying, well, yeah, this person been sitting down. But in 10 years, shouldn't I have had more? You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the time spectrum. You dig? So I thought that was very, very interesting. Now, I dug a little deeper into what I was talking about in terms of micromanagement. And I was like saying, well, I'm doing what I need to be doing. I'm doing my work on time, at work all the time, early majority of the time. But the micromanagement, what is that about? So now I find out it's management. It's not the lead. He's breaking down more and more and more and more about what it really, and so I said, well, look, he said, well, I'll back you on this, which I was shocked. So I'm sitting here thinking, I said, well, he can't hold that against me if he's like, well, he's not doing nothing when he's not deploying or whatever the case may be. Well, you have to assign the work. I'm a contractor. You have to assign the work. Well, the work ain't available. You're doing what you need to be doing. Okay. So yeah, my homie Solomon says open drug use. And yeah, I was just telling my guy about what I saw. I said, man, this is crazy. He said open drug use. Yes, it's open. It's a bunch of open drug use that I saw when I was on that train, bro. It was embarrassing, man. It was fucking embarrassing. Like, and maybe because he said the green line is the worst. Yes, it is. The green line is the worst, man. It is the worst. But so now, so I'm telling him, I said, well, he can't hold that against me. I said, because it's the same thing. I got on this position understanding that this will be a hybrid position, and it's not hybrid anymore. Because you guys reorganized the infrastructure, or there was management reorganization. So now some of the work has shifted to daytime hours. Well, then you got to give me some of that work, because I'm completing and doing what I need to be doing. So what it is, well, I just want you to look like you're doing something. Okay, well then that should go for everybody, because a lot of people are sitting there messing around, just cruising the net and doing this, that, and the third. Okay, fine. Well, then you divvy out the tasks. You divvy out the tasks. You see what I'm saying? We don't pay him not to do nothing. Okay, then you provide me the work, because I sure been asking for it. That's not on me. I'm a contractor. I'm not coming in here managing no project or doing stuff like that. I'm a contractor. Give me the work. And he said, and the lead's like, yeah, you've been open and you've been available. So, like I said, I've maximized the technical proficiency of where I need to be. There's really not nothing else that you could train me with. I've hit the plateau of learning that position and doing everything. It's not going to go any further than what I've learned. So that's why I said I would rather be dealing with an asshole manager in a different department and busy as hell learning my proficiencies and increasing my skill set, rather than just deploying these machines and then there's not anything for me to do, and somebody saying, well, you need to be doing this, but you can't define it, and you can't tell me what I need to be doing. You're not gonna put no mop in my damn hands. We're not going that route. You're gonna give me something to do that's within the scope of the project. And the thing is like the guy was telling me, you can't, well, I was shocked, because I kind of thought it was him. He was like, look, man, I can't sit there and make sure he does this, that, and the third. I have to do what I'm doing. So I got to give him bits and pieces and train him on that process. It's a process issue. It's not a proficiency skill set issue. It's just a process. So I said, all right. I said, well, man, load me up, man. Load me up. We'll talk. Just let me know what needs to be done. Because, see, once I get to doing something and I learn how to do it, or I learn the process, then I'm good and I can just do it. You know, but you're not going to tell me. Everybody else can sit there. And like I said, I told him, I don't talk much. I focus on the task at hand. So instead of me just blabbering off and talking, I say, I don't really say too much. I'll just sit there and just, cruise the net or do whatever. But y'all are talking and not working. So if you're going to talk and not work, that's no different than what I'm doing. I'm just not talking. You see what I'm saying? So, when he was like, yeah, so, that it was 100% management issue. What I'm going to do, I'm going to find something either internal or I'm out. I'm going to find something else. And I saw the position that I guess was talking to y'all about earlier, dealing with the same stuff I was doing before, the API support. I said, well, hell, shit, I could go back to Fargo. You know what I'm saying? If they'll have me, I'll go over there. The environment at this place, which I won't say where it's at, the environment, it's not a bad, so to say, environment far as the culture, the company culture is good. But I've advanced past my skill set, and the position's way below my skill set. I didn't have an issue with that at first. But now if I'm, and like I say, am I not knocking it out the park? Am I not taking care of my tickets and hitting service level agreements? I got other managers from other floors and departments telling me, hey man, your service level agreement is you get stuff done. And I say, man, you like to get stuff done. I like to get stuff done. Let's get it done. So don't walk up to me telling me what I, yeah. But he's not doing that. He's telling that dude that. Give him something to do. Give him something. Okay, I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not going to be coming to y'all asking y'all every 5 minutes on what you need to be assigning me. I know what my job is, so I'm going to do it. If I can't do my job, that's not on me if I'm not given the tools and the access. I'm asking you to give them to me. Well, they don't have the time. That ain't on me. So I'd rather go to a different department. See, that's how y'all do that. When you're dealing with something like that and you're just dealing with, because the scope is real narrow. Okay, you deployed these machines. Okay, you put up these monitors. You did whatever the case. There's not nothing else to do. I'm not gonna make shit up. Well, let's make sure that I'm a contractor. Just pay me for my damn 40 hours. You see what I'm saying? So the argument could be, well, you need to find something to do. Okay, give it to me. Well, we ain't got nothing. How is that my fault? How is that my fault? How? I'm steady asking for work. You're not gonna give me no broom. We ain't playing that game, and there ain't no broom for that matter anyway. You're not gonna give me no broom. You're not gonna have me in the warehouse lifting stuff up where it could break, damage the nerve damage I already got. No, that's out of the scope of the position. We're not doing that. So you gonna give me some work within the scope of my position. So here's the beauty. I'm gonna tell y'all something about the difference between, and those are on-site / deployment, if you want to call along the lines of some asset management or whatever the case may be. They already got a team for that. So I send me in there with them for a little bit or whatnot. But that's not my job. That's outside the scope of my job. But anyway, when it's physical, see, the position I do, you have to be there present and put your hands on it. And the project work, you could do that anywhere in the world. So it's a mixture. You have to have somebody physically do the work I do when you're deploying these laptops and these machines. Now, the flip side is, now, if you get a more digital software-based job, now with physical stuff, once you do the work, that's the work. The work's done. Software jobs, the work may never be done. It may be a request coming. It's logical. That's the difference between physical and logical. Not virtual. I'm just saying logical. The logical, going inside the software and supporting it. So it takes a lot more than just a physical position. You're physically bringing this up. Then you run the software, do whatever you need to do, and you call the person up, you're communicating, and you put it in their hands. And it's deployed. Close the ticket. That's it. With the logical job that I've been trying to eye, application support, you're now dealing with applications. You're not dealing with anything physical in your hands. So you don't have to actually physically be there unless it's a collaborative effort. You see what I'm saying? So the question is, do you want to be now the physical place, because there's a demand for it and you have to have someone physically do it? That demand could be higher to a certain degree than the physical, the logical. The logical, you could get anybody from India to do it and underpay them. And that takes jobs here in America. But the physical position, in some instances, it's a higher demand. It's a higher demand. So the question that I had initially myself, and I talked about this earlier, simple position, do your job in a matter of minutes and be done. Send off a few emails, do whatever and be done. And do your 8 hours, and I sit around and listen to my podcast or do whatever. You're done. There's no more work to do. But then you have a manager talking about you're not doing anything. So you need to make yourself quote unquote useful. Would you rather do that? Or would you rather do something that is dealing with application support, where you get your head down and you could be dealing with some jerk off, but you're constantly busy? I'm leaning towards that. I'm leaning towards just going ahead and doing the application support and sitting around and dealing with some folks that I really don't care, don't care to be around too much. It'd be easier because we don't have a lot of time to sit there and bullshit and talk. We have applications to support, and now your eyes is kind of glued a little bit more. So, but that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. He just hasn't said any. The main manager just hasn't said it directly. He's having somebody else be the taskmaster, and he's like, well, I can't have him do this. He has to get the process down. I don't have time to do that just yet. So I give him bits and pieces as he's learning, which should have been covered within the first month, which wasn't, because they did not have the bandwidth to do it. I would rather just take over the deployment 100%. But then once I take that over and there's nothing to deploy, now I'm kind of sitting there waiting for the other people to give me more work, which I'm available. And like I said, I'm available for work. I'm not denying any work. I'm asking for more work. But I'm not going to ask for something that is not part of the scope of my job. You're going to have to assign that. And if it's something that's completely out of the scope, you send me down in a warehouse or got me down in the like not janitor work, but I mean, yeah, you're not gonna have me lifting 300-pound printers and all. We're not doing that, because if I get hurt, y'all gonna say, well, he didn't have nothing else to do, so we sent him down there doing that. No, absolutely not. That ain't happening. No, I'm good. I appreciate it, but I'm good. So, I think what I'm going to do is we'll go through that, because I worked there before, it's no secret. We'll go through that API position bit by bit. I'm going to decode it just like I did in my second book. I'm going to decode it and break down exactly what you're going to be doing. And if you're in Minneapolis, I think you should apply. I'm going to apply again. So now, if you look back, when I was out there, what ended up happening was I found a permanent position to do like business analysis work, which should have paid more than what I was getting at the time. But as soon as that contract ended, I worked perm for Fargo, but I bounced because they wanted me to come back in the office. And around that time, I'm like, nah, I got a weak immune system. I'm not doing that. My brother says, Chicago, a code of respect. I mean, yeah, you can't. The stuff that I be seeing, man, in my town, it does happen in other cities, but the way the guys go about it culturally, far as minding other dudes' business, yeah, you can't do that in them big cities, man. You be up in the ER somewhere. So there is a code of conduct, like he said, a code of conduct. It's a certain code of conduct that's required. You go to a place like Milwaukee, LA, New York, Chicago, go to Kansas City, you gonna mind your damn business. You gonna mind your business in the big cities, or somebody gonna have your mind on the ground. That's what's gonna happen. but folks just get away with so much. It's laxed up here to the point where, you know, like I say, you just anything goes. You know, anything goes, man. There's never been a set of standard of rules that have been implemented to a certain degree. I'm gonna be flat out honest, man. I'm from Minneapolis. I'm from Minnesota. I could speak for it. The code of conduct. It's not a strong code, man. It's not a strong code. It's just not. You got to think, man. I remember when we were selling the products, when I had a wipes company. Me and my wife had a wipes company, man. You had Negroes, and this is a black event. You had Negroes talking about, man, it's too black. Don't put a black baby on your product. That's too black. Yes. Shit, I would have been somewhere in LA or Chicago, man. Them folks would have broke their neck to see a black child on a, you know what I'm saying? Selling the product that we were selling. We don't have the company anymore, but when we did have it, you had Negroes that was actually saying little off-code stuff like that. Little off-code, weird, biracial chicks. You got a lot of that going on up here. A lot. You got a lot of confused Negroes. They don't know where to side with their white supremacist mother's side or their little bedbuck ass daddy side. I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm just gonna keep it real. They don't know which way to go. They don't know. We gonna upload this, y'all. But yeah, so what do y'all think? If y'all are doing your job and doing what needs to be done, and the lead's like, yep, you're doing your job, but I can't give you more work. You've asked for the work. You can't get no more work because they have to focus on other things and they got to give you bits and pieces. And then add on the fact with that situation to where when I tried to volunteer to do work, I was japped out on. You got to keep in that mind. What would y'all do? If you volunteer to do some work and somebody caught an attitude, and now a manager's basically saying, well, you need to be busy, and you're already completing your tickets and doing your work, but they can't give you any more work. Are you supposed to break your neck to make sure you have the work? Or are they supposed to deliver the work and give you the work and you're in a contractor now, you ain't in no permanent position. Because see, now if I was in a permanent position, I would have said something directly to that manager, like, hey, y'all gotta assign me some stuff within the scope of the work. Contractors, they don't really have a lot of voice, so I'm not really tripping. You know, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna say anything. He didn't say nothing directly to me. I'm getting it through the grapevine. You know, so he's letting the lead guy take the bullhorn of it, but he's like, man, my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do for him yet. You know, but he wants to see, basically, nigga, I want to see you picking cotton all the time. That's the energy I'm getting. Even though that's not being said, I want to see you sweat all the time. Then give me what needs to be done. Am I wrong or are they wrong, y'all? I want y'all to hit the like button and then let me know in the comments. Am I wrong? Am I supposed to go out of my way to get more work while I'm already asking for it? Or are they supposed to divvy out the work, and if they ain't got it, leave me alone? Which is it, y'all? I want to know who's wrong in that situation. Is it me or is it the other parties that said they can't give me any more work because of whatever it is?